So today we would watch binge watch. Okay, a binge watch, a beautiful word given by the Hindu script writer and journalist Aditya Manija. Okay, and he always uses his language to review the contemporary issues. And today we have the beautiful writing about the adaptation of the great dystopian novel. George Orwell's dystopian novel. Okay, and here we could see it's a good thing for the beginners. Okay, it's the Starkus Audible's new adaptation of George Orwell's dystopian novel is a great starting point for beginners. So this is how he gives the writing over here, and it's 1984 novel, and now it is into the Netflix era. Let's see how he incorporates his writing with this era given, and you can see the beautiful actors put up over there, the great players of the show. And on October 30, 1938, Orson Welles, okay, who would go on to write, direct and star in Citizen Kane, one of the greatest movies of all time, narrated a radio adaptation of H.G. Wells' classic Martian invasion novel, The War of the Worlds. The only problem was Wells was a little too effective, a little too scary with his narration. The CBS radio network, a mainstay of American entertainment back then, received panic-stricken phone calls non-stop from viewers who actually believed Martians had invaded our planet. So that is how the review was over the radio. A Midwestern sheriff wanted to pursue legal action against CBS because half his town had started running amok in the streets. So it goes to show just how impactful a good radio dramatization can be. So it had a great effect that people started moving from places in the streets. I was reminded of this little slice of radio history while listening to Audible's superlative new adaptation of George Orwell's dystopian novel 1984. So now it's Audible versions, okay, and written by Joe Wright. The adaptation features an original score co-written by Muse singer and lead guitarist Matthew Bellamy and composer Ilan Eshkeri, and performed by London Metropolitan Orchestra. So this is how the Audible piece of the novel came out, and these were the people who were the back behind that play. The all-star cast is led by Andrew Garfield and Cynthia Erivo as Winston and Julia respectively. The young lovers whose relationship is also an act of rebellion against the all-seeing Big Brother and the party. Andrew Scott, seen most recently in Netflix's. So you can see Netflix's mini-series Ripley, okay, is smooth and terrifying as Mr. O'Brien, Winston's party colleagues, who he suspects is secretly a part of rebellious brotherhood, and inimitable Tom Hardy pitches in with a flawless cameo as a voice of Big Brother himself. The whole thing at 200 odd minutes is split up into 7 parts. So very nicely made Audible. You can listen to this Audible, very nice and interesting. And this fellow Aditya, it's the big write-up is given over here. You can see the 21st century sensibility. Two things you'll notice immediately about this adaptation: it is intensively cinematic and it takes considerable liberties with Orwell's text. For example, Big Brother watching all of his citizens courtesy omnipresent TV screens is described as surveillance, a decidedly contemporary word throughout by Garfield's Winston. So generally speaking, the text is condensed in a way that minimizes third-party lines such as portions of police files, newspaper clippings, extracts from fictional text, and so on. The reason this works so well for this adaptation is because of the first point I mentioned, its intensely cinematic nature, thanks to Bellamy and Eshkari's superb original score. So this is how the extract goes. and he is giving a full detailed explanation of how the score begins and how ambient it goes, and a urgency reading of the third party every chapter. And then and then we can see Erivo and Garfield shine, but really this 1984 depends largely on the star power and stellar work put in by its A-list cast. Erivo especially is a revelation as Julia. So very nice writing by the writer and journalist Aditya Manija, and I could see his review about this record is really good. And review writing, if you are principally learning to write reviews, okay, review writing, you can use or you can directly think of how this writer has used his wordings over here. So this Garfield's big moments typically happen at the end of every chapter, when Winston is usually second guessing the motives of Julia on his or his friends and colleagues, wondering whether one of them is secretly a part of the dreaded thought police. So you can see big moments typically happen at the end. This and all is how the wordings for a review should be typically happen. Okay, this is the word you have to use, and every chapter, usually second guessing, these are the words. Like beautiful reviews, you can for a review you can use these words. And then when he watches O'Brien during a public gathering, for instance, Winston swings wildly between pegging O'Brien as a member of the Brotherhood and the polar opposites, his day job as a member of the party's inner circle. See how the dialogues reflect this boomerang motion. So this is where, see how the dialogue reflects this boomerang motion. This is important. And the writing, like Garfield's work is cut out of him here, and he expertly steers the audience between hope and hopelessness. So this is how a review writing should be. So he is talking about the Netflix era, and very beautifully from the beginning he is given a catch up of how he is relating it to 1984 novel, and how that gets connected with this particular Netflix era dialogues, and how this audible is so good, and how the people who have made the back scores for it, and how the playwright is written very nicely made by Aditya Manija. And this is a learning part. This is how you have to give reviews. Like if your question paper states review writing about a novel, or review about a film which you watched, you see this, he is made it as a beautiful thing as binge watch. Okay, and the header itself goes very nice, stating a binge watch. So overall reimagined. So I caught O'Brien's eye just for the fraction of a second, but it was long enough to know, yes, I know now O'Brien was thinking the same thing as me. I am on your side, Winston. And just like that, it was gone. O'Brien's face was inscrutable as ever. Such a fleeting moment that I questioned whether it happened at all. But I know it did. And it keeps alive in me the hope that it isn't just me. So beautiful lines also he is taken and quoted. As a passage above shows, this is Orwell's reimagined through contemporary Netflix era snappy dialogue. So this is where the important line stays. So you also try to quote lines and connect it with your writing. Okay, so very nicely written Orwell lines, but for the purpose of a radio adaptation, I found the abridged version to be just right. So Audible's 1984 provides a great starting point to the 20th century classic for beginners. I am quite sure that the significant portion of these listeners will go back and visit or revisit, as the case may be, the original novel to expand their horizons. Superb, and this is how a review should be written. And for review writing, might be you can use these tips. Thank you, students.